Makoba Bay is in the northwest coast of Zanzibar at the bottom of Makoba drainage basin. The bay is fed by Mwanakombo and Zingwezingwe rivers. The main Zingwezingwe River has 3 tributaries, namely Mchanga, Kitope, and Zingwezingwe. The 2 rivers drain Mahonda Sugar Factory and sugarcane farm, rice farms, a rubber farm, and a cattle ranch. There have been reports of fish mortality in the rivers and disappearance of some species of marine fish in Kiwani Creek of Makoba Bay, where the 2 rivers meet. On the western side of the bay, there are about 5 hectares of salt pans where salt mining has been taking place since the late 70s. The salt mining project has never really been a success, probably due to fresh or groundwater influx from the rivers and recurrent rainfalls in the area. The salt pans are now being converted into experimental, semi-intensive, integrated mariculture pond systems. In order to ensure successful conversion of the salt pans into mariculture ponds, to properly adapt the system from National Center for Mariculture in Israel, and to conform with Zanzibar environmental policy, an environmental impact assessment was done. The assessment was also done to study the impact of upstream effluents to the ponds. In the study, 2 main possible causes of fish mortality were studied. 1, eutrophication and organic loading from sugar factory, sugarcane farm, and rice fields. 2, pesticides from the plantations, the pesticide store or sugar factory, or other chemicals from the factory. According to one study in 1990, sulfur, lime, triple superphosphate, sulfate of ammonia, nitric acid, and hydrochloric acid are regularly used in the factory. Wastewater from the factory passes through numerous wastewater trenches in the area into the rivers. The pesticide store used to have expired and pesticide wastes, some of which were more than 30 years old. The pesticides used to leak and could go into numerous wastewater trenches into the rivers. The sugar industry produces 6,000 tons of sugar from 60,000 tons of sugar cane per year from an area of about 3,000 acres. Although most of the bagasse are recycled as fuel in the plant, the black charcoal and all the rest of the waste are discharged through wastewater tunnels into the rivers. The factory operates in about 150 days per year, about 75 days in each of the 2 dry seasons. The dry seasons are June, July, August, and December, January, and February. The fish mortalities are known to occur during the dry season when the industry is in operation. A study on nutrients, oxygen, and sediment budgets was done on June and July when the industry was operating. Interviews to villagers and management of the factory was also carried out on the possible causes of fish mortality. The scientific results for nitrates showed slightly elevated concentrations in the tributaries and Mwanakombo before entering the sugar farm, indicating that rice farms upstream contribute nitrate into the farm and the bay. There was also a contribution of nitrate from the trench. This was the highest, although no attempts were made to measure volume transport. Percentage oxygen saturation was high in the tributaries, but low in the trench. The concentration in the main river and the bay indicated mixing of trench and river waters. Cyclic concentrations of nutrients in the bay, when compared with salinity, clearly showed decrease of nutrients and increase of oxygen saturation with rising salinity. It can therefore be concluded that the fresh water is a source of nutrients and a cause of oxygen depletion in the bay. However, the lowest percentage saturation of 77% and the highest nitrate and phosphate concentrations of 3 and 1 microgram atom per liter of the elements, respectively, cannot account for fish mortality in the rivers and the bay. Furthermore, it was deduced that if eutrophication caused by fertilizers in the farms were the cause of fish mortality, then it would occur during the rain season when the nutrients will be carried with rain runoff into the rivers and the bay. This would also be the case with pesticides applied in the farms or washed off from the factory. If, however, the mortality was caused by some chemical, which is a product of sugar refinery processes in the waste from the factory, the mortality would occur at the time when the industry is running. When this question was considered, it was thought that fusel oil, a mixture of high molecular weight alcohols, which is a byproduct of fermentation and which has been known to cause fish mortality elsewhere, may be the cause of fish mortality at Makoba. A study on microbenthos in Makoba Bay did not show any significant difference in biodiversity, population sizes, and pollution indicating species. It was also noted that the water tapped for aquaculture is only available at a salinity of 35. At this salinity, the fresh water and any other pollutants will have been diluted more than 35 times. Presently, there are 2 integrated mariculture pond system units that have been operating for more than a month with a rapid fish growth rate of about 40%. There are, however, efforts to remedy the situation by developing waste treatment facility for Mahonda liquid wastes. Fusel oil can be used to produce biogas. Parallel to this study, concentration of pesticide residues in water, sediments, and biota, including the farmed species, will be done to evaluate their fitness for human consumption. There are a few other studies also taking place in the area for the drainage.